Hey guys, what's up? My name is Artem, and today we're going to be talking about tips for Russians moving to the United States. And I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. We're going to wait for a few seconds to, for people to join us, and then we will begin. It will be a format of a short presentation, kind of, and at the end of it, you can ask your questions. Today's topic kind of implies that I will have some questions. So I will tell you a little bit about my experience and why I chose this topic for today. Having lived in the United States for more than a year, I think I have a lot of experience about this topic, what to do, what not to do when you're moving to the United States. I have a lot of Russian friends who live in the United States. I have a lot of Americans, that I'm friends with from the United States. And I just think that I have a lot of experience about this topic. So I'm really, really interested in your questions after I'm finished with my presentations. So I have like 10 things that I would like to talk about today. Maybe 10 tips that I would personally recommend. And in my experience, it's something that a lot of, Russians, they do not expect, of the United States. And let's just jump right into it. And as we go, you can ask me some questions. I will try to read them in the YouTube chat. And let's just try to have a conversation, okay? So speaking about having a conversation, it's something you're probably going to do a lot in the United States, especially with strangers. Now, a lot of Americans, especially people from the South, they like to do what, is called small talk. It's just, conversations about nothing with strangers that you have no idea about. And they can be really awkward for Russian people. I personally know a lot of Russians that hate small talk. They think it's stupid and it serves no purpose. And I kind of agree. I, as a Russian person, certainly didn't like it. But there are certainly things that you can do to make life easier when it comes to having those short conversations. So usually I recommend to have a few maybe topics that are your go-to topics, something that you will always maybe try to use when you speak with strangers, not to have awkward pauses or something like that. My personal favorite is to speak about the city that I'm currently in right now. So most people, they will probably know that you are either a tourist or a new person in town or a city. Just by, talking with you and the first few words, your accent is probably going to give you away. And you can just say, I'm loving it here. First 2 weeks, amazing. People are so friendly. And this is enough. For example, if you are in the South, to speak about how friendly people are, for that other person to continue the conversation. So in my experience, you're not going to do anything after you use this phrase. I really, really like this phrase. So if you're looking for ways to, make your small talk easier, maybe try to do that. So speak about the city that you're in and maybe, say that, people here are so friendly. And the other person, especially if they're from the South, they're going to continue the conversation and you're not going to do anything. And that's just fantastic. In my experience, it worked most of the time. And in the times that it didn't work, the conversation, ended pretty quickly. And for us Russians, it's actually something that, it's normal. We want this conversation to end as soon as possible. And be ready for those small talk conversations to pop up in places that you're not expecting. For example, in Russia, if you are using an elevator, you are in your office, you're going up the elevator or in your apartment building, people, strangers in the elevator, they never talk. In the United States, probably somebody's going to start that conversation and you're going to have to participate. So you gotta be ready when it comes to small talk in the United States, okay? Next one, it's actually a serious conversation to have. It's make sure that you have healthcare coverage in the United States. I know a lot of people, they go to the United States, they heard about US healthcare, but they just don't know much about it, so they choose the cheapest plan, so health insurance plan, and they really do not know what they're signing up for. So what I mean by that is that you need to make sure that some surgeries are covered in case something happens to you. By covered, I mean if something happens, the insurance company will pay the money for that procedure. Because I know a lot of Russian people, they choose the cheapest insurance plan, and they expect that everything will be covered if something happens to them. And unfortunately, health insurance companies make sure that they, try to pay as little as possible, because it's like a business in the United States, and it's a big problem actually. And they will try to do everything in their power not to pay out for whatever like problem that you got yourself into. So make sure that your health coverage plan covers like most of the essential things, because in the United States, if you go to the doctor without like health insurance, maybe for like a simple medical checkup, like to listen to your ears or something like that, to see if there is something wrong with it, you're going to pay a lot, like hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars. So Russian people are not prepared for that. And make sure that you are. Make sure that you are. So maybe I will actually save you a lot of money in the future. Nobody knows. So make sure that you know what your plan covers and what it doesn't. Okay. Next one, it's something that I personally hated when I was shopping in the United States. Like when you go shopping, most of the time in many states, you are not going to have like on the price tag, it doesn't show you the sales tax. So for example, you see something, it costs like $5. You think, okay, I have exactly $5. Like I will go buy it. You go to the cashier, you make a purchase, and actually it's 5.35. And like now you need 35 more cents that you do not have. It's very inconvenient. You never know how much money you need. And just make sure that you have some extra money in that case. So sales tax, it's like this money that the government will try to charge you on all the goods that you have in that state. Some of the states, I think maybe Delaware and maybe Nevada, they do not have a sales tax, but most states do. So make sure that you have some extra cash if you're paying with cash, and just like plan that into your purchases. Okay. And yeah, I had some very awkward stories when you go to the cashier to make a purchase and you just don't have enough money. So you have to return some of the goods. And of course it feels bad because like behind you, there's a line of, people waiting. And now you need to cancel the purchase, and it always takes a long time. Not just in Russia, in the United States, it also takes a long time to cancel the purchase. So make sure you have some extra cash. And next one, it's, Russians actually have a very bad reputation, especially from what I heard in New York, because we do not tip in the restaurants and like cafes. So make sure you do that. Tipping usually it's when you pay after, having finished your meal in the restaurant or cafe, and it can be like 5% in up to 20%. And good tip is considered to be somewhere around like 15. So 15% of the check. So let's say that maybe you ate for $100. You're gonna have to pay 15 as a tip for the waiter and for the restaurant. So make sure you tip, and do not make the bad name of Russians worse. Okay, so like we have bad reputation for not tipping in the United States. Make sure that it is not the case with you. Okay. It's usually somewhere around 15%. And for some Russians, they say, "Oh, that's so much." Like maybe it's just like five. Five is enough. No, like at least 10. At least 10. Do not be greedy with that stuff. Like you're a guest in this country, and if you're planning to live, like you gotta abide by laws of that country. Maybe it's not like a real law, but still, like try to blend in. Try to blend in. Okay. And maybe speaking about blending in, next thing, it's, you probably heard it like many times, that Americans, they smile all the time. And it's actually true. Like, I remember back in the days when I worked in a hotel in the United States, like it was actually like a job requirement to smile all the time. So if you were not smiling, like your manager would probably have a talk with you, like a serious conversation. Artem, you're not doing something right. Like you need to smile more. And it's really a part of American culture. So if you want to be one of them, you're probably going to have to learn how to smile a lot. And sometimes, people are faking, there is a phrase in English language, fake it till you make it. And I think it was born in the United States because people do smile all the time. But I personally, from my experience, maybe it's difficult first, a few months when you live there, but then you get used to it. And it's kind of nice when people smile because, in in Russia, first thing that I noticed when I came back from the United States is that you go down Moscow metro and everybody looks like they're about to die. Like they have really bad impressions on their face, and it's just like their expressions are, like dead people. So yeah, if you want to blend in, probably a good idea to smile more often, or at least try to do that. Okay, might not be the best thing for a Russian person because we're not used to that. Next thing, it's something cultural, but I do think that it's important, especially if you're planning to live in the United States and to make friends. It's to learn something about their traditional sports. So you probably know Americans, they say football. Football, it's not what we mean by football. So, like, our football is soccer in English. It's when you play, this game with legs, kinda. And American football, it's different. It's like a brutal sport, but it's super popular in the United States. And like, you gotta learn like simple things about it so that you can have like a small conversation with a person about it. Because usually, especially men, they have their favorite teams. In the United States, like Yankees or whatever. I'm not a big fan of sports, but like you gotta be able to have like a simple conversation with people like that. Okay, and it's very important that you do that. So learn maybe something about American baseball or something about American football. Favorite teams, basketball is a very good one. It's very popular in the United States, and yeah, just learn how to have a simple conversation. Hey, somebody says in chat, Alex, Mel, hey, what's up? If you guys have questions, like please make sure to post them. Or once I'm finished, like we will have a question section Q&A, and I'll make sure to answer everything that you guys ask me. Okay. Now where was I? Yeah, we were talking about like learning something about American sports. I think it's a really good cultural thing. And it's just, especially if you like sports, that's like a win-win for you. Next one, it's something important for people that are planning to live maybe not far to the center. So if you're living in a small town or a city in the United States, make sure that you have, driver license, because you're gonna have a really bad time without driver license in the United States. So make sure you do have that. Like when I lived in the United States at the time, I think I didn't have my driver license, and my friends was driving. My friends were driving for me, and it was just like very inconvenient. And the reason why you should have that is that American cities, they were usually built in 60s and 70s, and like they were built with the idea that every American has a car. So you will not have a lot of sidewalks in like small cities, and it's very inconvenient. So if you want to go to like a different part of the town, you will not have the sidewalks to do that on like with your bare legs. Like you're gonna have to rent a car or something, or ask somebody to drive you around. And public transport, it's not always available, and it's not always convenient. So make sure that you have driver license if you're planning to move to the United States. It's actually I think it's very important, probably one of the most important things that I'm going to be talking about today. So healthcare and having that driver license. Maybe next one, it's about food. And I'm curious if you guys have some questions about food, because like maybe you heard something about American fast food, and people in the United States, they eat bad food. They don't have any food culture, and it's really difficult to find good groceries in the United States. It's partially true. Partially true. A lot of people do not know how to eat healthy in the United States, but there are definitely shops and grocery stores where you can buy good food. For example, Whole Foods. It's like a very popular chain of healthy food in the United States. So try that one. A lot of people, they shop in Walmart because it's cheap, but Whole Foods is probably the place where you want to buy a lot of healthy groceries, and it's a really nice place. Might be a little bit too expensive. Might be a little bit too expensive because it's definitely more expensive than Walmart, for example. And most Americans, they go to big shops, like to big grocery stores, big malls, to buy food for the week, and they do not have a lot of pitorechkas in the street. Like that's just not what's happening in the United States, especially like in small cities. Like not really, not really. So make sure that you have a car, and if you want to buy some healthy food, go to a place like Healthy Foods, Whole Foods, and yeah, make sure that you buy something healthy for you. Okay, because it's very important. I know a lot of people, they go to the United States and they gain a lot of weight, like a lot of weight, and they do it really fast. There are many reasons like why that happens. Today, I'm probably not gonna have the time to explain all of that, but in the future, I'd like to have a maybe a lesson about American food and American fast food in particular, because I think it's a very interesting topic. Uh, do American people eat a lot of organic food? No, not really. Actually, most people do not know what organic food is. So most people have no idea how to eat healthy in the United States. That's a big problem. And no, the answer to your question is no, unfortunately, unfortunately. And part of the reason why it's it's actually very cheap to eat bad food in the United States. Like fast food, it's actually very cheap. Like you can like buy a really big meal for $5, and cooking one will be much more expensive. Hello there. Yeah. So hello, Elena. Nice to see you. And yeah, guys, you can start asking me questions. And maybe last thing that I will mention for today's presentation, it's make sure that all the local laws that are very important. Because in some states, you probably know you can smoke weed, and in some state it's going to be illegal and you will go to jail for that. So make sure that does not happen to you, and make sure to learn local laws. I think it's very important, especially if you're planning to live in the United States. I think it's very important. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions, like I will just, while maybe you're typing or maybe thinking about asking a question, I will just do a small recap. Try to make sure that you know your healthcare plan, healthcare coverage. It's very important in the United States, and also make sure that you have driver license. I think it's like two things that are very very important, and a lot of people they kind of ignore it. And make sure that it doesn't happen to you. Make sure it doesn't happen to you. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions? I see like we have a few more people than we had in the beginning. So if you're interested, I could probably recap some of the first points that I mentioned in the beginning. If you want, I can do that. We talked a little bit about small talk, how important that is. Make sure you have those go-to phrases that are very important to have when you don't want to have like awkward conversations with people. And is McDonald's better and healthier than in Russia? I think yeah, McDonald's in the United States. You mean? Actually, yeah, it's a funny experience because like it's one of the first things that I tried in the United States. It's like to go to American McDonald's, and to my surprise, it was very bad. It was very bad. So I don't know why. It just wasn't even close to Russian McDonald's. I'm not sure about healthier, but it definitely tastes worse, much worse. And yeah, if you go to some fast food joints in the United States, you're probably gonna choose something else, not McDonald's, because McDonald's, even by American standards, it's considered to be like very, very low bar. KFC, McDonald's, it's like very cheap, bad fast food. If you want something better, try something like maybe Chick-fil-A or maybe Jack in the Box. It's very famous fast food joints in the United States that are much better than McDonald's. So to answer your question, I'm not sure about healthier, but Russian McDonald's, it's definitely better, much better, no question about it. So yeah, guys, if there are some questions, I'm glad to answer that. And maybe like thinking about my experience, a lot of small things that maybe I have not mentioned today, you kind of learn them on the fly. So be ready to just like have that cultural shock when you move to the United States. because a lot of people, first month it's fine, it's fantastic, but slowly it's starting to get maybe hard for people mentally to be away from home, to be in a different environment. What's the most disgusting? What's the most disgusting dish you tried in the United States? That's an interesting question. I do not remember eating anything like disgusting, but probably there were some, countryside like cafes that are on the drive-through, maybe on the highway, and you go in, you expect a nice breakfast in, like those American movies. Some beautiful waiter comes in and gives you like a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice and omelet. Yeah, that's not the case sometimes. And it can be spoiled food. And it can be a big disappointment, especially, if you're driving, like you're going to feel that disappointment. Okay. So, guys, if you have some more questions, please make sure that you type in. I think, let's maybe do one or two more questions and try to wrap it up. Now, remember, while I'm waiting for you to maybe ask me something, that we do this almost every day. I'm not the only teacher participating in these online sessions. And if you want to ask questions, make sure you do that in YouTube chat. And I have lessons on, well, it's not really a lesson, it's like a small presentation, a webinar on Tuesdays and Thursdays. My name is Artem, by the way. On Mondays and Wednesdays, it's Alona, our fellow teacher in Accent Language Center. And on Fridays, it's our native speaker, Alex. He's from Alabama, south of the United States. Make sure to check out their videos as well. And maybe after watching, you can leave some comments. And if you like the video, hit that like button. And any more questions, guys? I think we're gonna be wrapping it up. So if you have some questions, or you would like to have a lesson, with one of us, one of the three teachers that are having this activity, you can contact this thing over there. You have all the information needed to do that. I learned how to do this because last time I was pointing that direction. Now it's like, okay, I got it down. So make sure that you contact us, and you can have lessons with us online. With this coronavirus situation, a lot of people are switching online, and it's a great opportunity for you to improve your English. So, guys, thank you for today. We're going to be finishing. If you have some questions, again, you know where to find me or find people to talk to. And, make sure to join me maybe next Tuesday. And tomorrow, it's going to be our native speaker, Alex. So check him out as well. Okay? So thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time. And have a good one. Bye-bye. Yeah.